Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury.
Also brought to you by Ropers Enterprises, 122 Industrial Way. Products and services for better public health. Green Turtle. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app. The future of mobile. Saving lives today. The Ministry of Commerce, Planning and Infrastructure, and by West Bay Pharmacy, taking care of your health.
This is For the Record with Ort Connor.
Coming to you live from Radio Cayman Studio.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you.
For the record.
Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the record.
For the record. For the record.
Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Ort Connor.
Good morning, O land of soft, fresh breezes and verdant trees. So fair. Welcome to For the Record. Today is Friday, the 12th day of February 2021. I hope and I trust that everyone had a restful, peaceful, enjoyable evening. Those of you who are on the roads of the Cayman Islands and they may be a little bit more busy or traffic may be a little slower this morning, what we call rubbernecking, because of a previous accident that took place at the junction, the light on Smith Road and Thomas Russell Way and Huldah Boulevard. I may be cleared up by now, around about 6:30, 6:40 this morning. The emergency vehicles were still there. The flatbed truck was there taking one of the vehicles away as well. And so if you are on the roads, whether you're a pedestrian, a cyclist, or operating any type of motorized vehicle on the roads, we urge you to please be extremely cautious. Ensure you observe the rules of the road. Remember, the life you save may be your own. Remember the reason for having dimmer switches on your vehicles when driving at night or in darkness or early in the morning as well. You should not have the high beam on, blinding other vehicles, especially when you're in almost bumper-to-bumper traffic as well. Use of your horn, proper use of your horn. Your horn should not be used, your car horn or vehicle horn should not be used to greet friends that you see on the roads. It should not be used in frustration. It should be used to warn. And also remember that your horn is not the brake of your car. It's not the brakes. A lot of people will honk their horn and not adjust their speed, continue at the same speed because they feel that by honking the horn, I have given a warning and I'm coming. That is not what it is for. Yes, it is for you to warn, but then you have to take other corrective measures as well. So again, a few little rules of the road that I like to pass on to you. It certainly will make driving so much easier and so much more pleasant, because driving does not have to be an enormous task. It does not have to be a burden on your shoulders. It can be beautiful. You can enjoy it. You can relax. And I urge you to please try to do that as well. For those of you who are celebrating a birthday today, we want to wish you a happy birthday, or if you've celebrated one over the past few days as well, a belated happy birthday. Those of you who have lost loved ones, again, we want to extend our sincere condolences to you, and we hope and we trust that your faith will help to carry you through these very challenging times, and that the memories of your loved ones will also help to sustain you. So, folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman and by extension For the Record into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, wherever that may be. As you know, For the Record is a show produced by the staff and management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I'm your host, Art Connor, and you're welcome to join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 10 a.m. During that period, our phone lines are open. Beautiful radio voice of Miss Susan Watson is with us again this morning to take your calls. You can call us on our toll-free number provided courtesy of Flow. That toll-free number, 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and 949-6990. Of course, if you don't like to talk on the telephone, then email us at For the Record, one word, For the Record at candw.ky. WhatsApp us, 925-3261. You can send us a text message or leave us a voice note. Of course, the contents will be played during the course of the show. Then you can follow us on YouTube, simply by subscribing to Radio Cayman live stream. Today being Friday, normally we would have members of the official opposition in the studio with us. The leader of the opposition, Honorable Ard McLean, has commitments today. Of course, the vaccine program continues in his district, and during the course of the show, I will give you the times and the surnames that go along with those time slots as well. And also, I believe that there is Sports Day in East End, and as you know, Mr. McLean is a huge supporter of, amongst other things, of education in East End and the East End Primary School. So he's not in with us this morning, but it is my pleasure to have in the studio with me none other than Dr. Steve McFeel, and I will give you a preview of what we will be discussing this morning. So much has happened in the last few days. We saw the Parliament being dissolved. We saw early elections being called instead of the 26th of May. They have been moved forward now to the 14th of April. We will talk about that. We know that some people have been commenting about that move taking place and what it is all about. And we will point out to you and share with you what our Constitution allows, and to show you that everything that was done legally. Some people may speak about the morality of it, but certainly the legality of it we will talk about as well. We also propose to talk about refugee status and the situation with the gentleman who's demonstrating outside of the government administration building as well. We will be talking about that, including in the discussions about the early elections. We, of course, will refer to our Constitution, just like the Premier and the Governor referred to the Constitution. But we're going to go a little bit further. We're going to share with you excerpts from the constitutional talks that were held in Cayman and at Lancaster House in London in 2008, 2009. We will share those with you, and we will see exactly how we ended up with a particular section in our Constitution that speaks to how the House is prorogued, or the Parliament can be prorogued or dissolved. And we will also compare what we have in our Constitution with other overseas territories and even some independent countries as well. And I want to give a big shout out to Mr. Donna Ebanks this morning. He and I were on the phone several days talking about this whole issue, and he actually spared me the work of having to do as much research as I normally do, simply because he did a lot of it himself. So I want to give credit where credit is due. Mr. Donna Ebanks did share a lot with me, and I will share that with you as well. So, without any further ado, Dr. Macfield, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. I'm glad I was able to have you this morning. Of course, we understand Mr. McLean's situation, with his district. So, welcome, sir.
Good morning to you, Mr. For the Record, and good morning to all your fans and your listeners in the For the Record land, and all the people in the diaspora that are listening this morning, and anybody that is within within the bounds of your voice. It's good to come back to be with you again. I like to come on your radio show.
Thank you.
And I also like to come on with Mr. Banks on his shows when he has shows too.
Okay.
Talks about the history in the past. But Oriet, what I was thinking about as I was driving in this morning was the fact that this radio station, more so than any other radio station, is the only one that sort of try to educate people on the nuances and give them information about the Constitution and how it works and so forth. But it's not enough, and you can't go in depth on a talk show where people are calling in and you have to answer questions and so forth. I think there ought to be some sort of forum, constitutional forum where scholars or other lawyers, whatever, can submit papers, and you can peruse them, and you can analyze them on different constitutional subjects. Now, I have been listening to the radio, and I have been listening to the media, and I have been listening to what politicians say about the matters that we are going to be discussing this morning, and a lot of them are calling it a crisis. But I don't say it's a crisis. I take that as with a grain of salt.
Okay.
It's not a crisis at all. Just because we have to find a resolution to the issues that cause this new situation, it's not a crisis at all. Politicians refuse and did not deal with the matters as they came up, which they should have dealt with, which the Constitution gives them the power and the right to deal with the matters, but they didn't deal with them. And so now we're in a position now where elections are called prematurely, I would say, because elections are fixed in our Constitution. They're semi-fixed, I should say, because although it's a fix, there's a discretion that you can call them at any time.
Yes.
And I would say that people are saying that it is rootless to do what the premier has done. But I say it may be rootless, but as surely is not reckless, and he's within the law to do what he has to do. Because what we're seeing here this morning, what we're discussing this morning, is and I do not want to. There's no gainsaying at the fact that it's an extraordinary period in our parliamentary and democratic life in this Cayman. What we're seeing here is the exercise of the prerogative of dissolution of Parliament. That's what we see here. Now, the questions that a lot of people are asking is whether the governor exercise his discretion wisely, and as a lawyer, I would say that you have to distinguish that with law and conventions of the Constitution. When these constitutional principles come into play, we have to distinguish what is constitutional and what is conventional. And I would say that since we have a written constitution, unlike the British Constitution, we have to abide by what is written in our Constitution. We can refer to what's happened in Britain, like what happened with Boris Johnson. When he tried to prorogue Parliament and suspend Parliament for 30 days, I think it was, or 6 weeks, and the Supreme Court in the United Kingdom said it was illegal for
Precisely.
him to do so, and then Parliament had to be called back immediately. And you notice there, similar to our situation here, it has to be on the advice. In England, it's on the advice of the premier, and like in other constitution which you sent to me yesterday, it's on the advice. But in our situation, it's on the consultation with the premier.
And
what that means is that it's all rests with the governor.
Yeah, and we'll parse that particular section out and see how it reads as well. Folks, we have to take a commercial break. Please stay tuned. For the record, with Dr. Steve Macfield, we'll continue after this commercial break.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. The Cayman Islands, He hath founded it upon the seas.
Merle Adina Connolly, 1919-2000. Miss Merle Connolly was the daughter of Eleonora and Benoni Connolly. She was married to Samuel Chesley Connolly and had a family of 4 children. She spent much of her life in church of the Women's Fellowship, Sunday school teacher, elder, and president of the Christian Endeavor Society. Miss Merle enjoyed providing encouragement and advice to young people in East End. Christian Endeavor afforded her the opportunity to introduce young people to the arts. Among other activities, she directed plays and taught craft and sewing. She was certified in craft, especially plating silver thatch to make baskets and other articles. Her work was highly sought after by tourists and residents alike. She also enjoyed cooking and preparing traditional East End foods, such as stewed conch and heavy cakes, to assist with fundraising for the church and community projects. She touched the lives of all those with whom she came in contact with.
Radio Cayman's Historical Vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
As we ride the hamster wheel, scampering along the treadmill of living, we try to reset to this new normal, this new life. Where getting away is staying right here. Where vacation is staycation, staying safe. Where focus is surviving minutes, hours, days of anxiety. Step away and say hello to the latest exhibition of the National Gallery. Say hello to Alchemy by Cayman's premier sculptor, native son Horacio Esteban. Lose yourself in moments of geology meeting history, meeting botany, meeting zoology, meeting art. Where Caymanite and coral and unearthed cedar of thousands of years strike a pose in art. Bring your family. Leave your stress at the doors. Wellness, renewal, mental peppermint. Alchemy at the National Gallery, supported by Rotary Central Community Service. Rotary opens opportunities.
It's time to buy smart. It's time to buy Ropers. Find everything for your home and kitchen at low prices. Ropers. Appliances, dishware, bulk foods, and so much more with huge savings. Ropers is stocked for your hurricane supplies. Don't cut back on your needs. Cut back on your spending with Ropers. Your neighborhood store. Value, integrity. Ropers Enterprises. 122 Industrial Way. Call 949-2511. Clean up your spending with Ropers. Ropers, providing products and services for better public health.
I grew up in a Canadian village with a general store that had just about anything you could ever need. That's what I'm reminded of every time I go into West Bay Pharmacy. It's not just because it's well stocked with necessities and oddities, but also because it's like our community hub. The staff treat customers like friends. Ron and the team of pharmacists have kept my family patched up and flu-free for years, and there are usually a few good laughs mixed in. They are truly taking care of my health and my family's health. West Bay Pharmacy is the very best of Cayman kind.
Thinking of getting a hybrid but don't know much about them? Vamped Motors has lots of great reasons why you should choose a Toyota Corolla Hybrid or CHR Hybrid for your new ride. Hybrids save fuel, run cleaner, reduce CO2 emissions, and even recharge their batteries while being driven, so you don't ever have to worry about plugging them in. Both are super quiet as well as economical and fun to drive. So stop by Vamped Motors to check out a new, fuel-efficient, eco-friendly Toyota Corolla Hybrid for only $26,900 or a sporty CHR Hybrid starting from $34,150 while stock lasts. Go Toyota. Go hybrid. Go to Vamped Motors on Walkers Road. Green Turtle. Modern solutions to get you through the new normal. Download the Green Turtle app now and top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination. Home delivery of laptops, tablets, phones, accessories, and iTunes and major online retailer gift cards. And now, home deliveries of groceries and courier service. Guaranteed delivery within 2 hours from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Visit their list of products at greenturtle.ky or download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today, it can help save a life. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app, the future of mobile, saving lives today.
Honey, our fridge has stopped working again. Everything in the freezer is melting. We need to get this repaired right away. I'm calling Brand Source Service.
When you need the very best appliance service, call Brand Source Service at 623-5000. Offering service and installation of all brands and models of appliances. Brand Source Service is Cayman's source for appliance parts and repairs with qualified and experienced technicians and the island's largest stock of appliance parts. Brand Source Service will have your repair completed in a flash. So, whatever the problem is, call the experts at 623-5000. Brand Source Service, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park. Telephone 623-5000.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Ort Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. My pleasure to have in the studio with me this morning Dr. Steve Macfield. Before we get back into details, we understand that Eileen, better known as Mello, is celebrating a birthday. I want to wish her a happy birthday. And also Mrs. Carrie Bush, she's celebrating a birthday, and they're sending happy birthday greetings to her also. Also, I want to share with you the vaccine program, COVID-19 vaccine program for today, East End, 9 to 10 o'clock for the second dose, A to F, 10 to 11, G to N, 11 to 12, O to Z. And also remember that if you are 60 plus years old of age, you may go and get dose 1 at any of the published vaccine clinic times. Any of those times that are published. If you're over age 60, you can go. So in East End, if you're over age 60, you can go anywhere between 9 and 12 o'clock today, February the 12th, for the first dose. These other times are for those who are getting the second dose. Additionally, for the Owen Roberts International Airport from 9 to 10, A to F from 10 to 11, G to N from 11 to 12, O to Z. And again, if you are 60 plus years of age, you can go and get dose number 1, the first dose at any of the published vaccination clinic times, at any of those times. So again, in Georgetown, you can go, if you're in Georgetown and you want to go at the Owen Roberts International Airport clinic that is established there, anywhere between 9 o'clock in the morning and 12 noon as well. Also wanted to share with you the COVID-19 recent one that we have received. And here we go. This was on the Chief Medical Officer, Dr. John Lee, reported on February the 11th, that is yesterday, that 331 COVID-19 tests had been carried out since it was last reported on Wednesday, the 10th. There are 3 of those persons were positive from that report. The individuals or travelers who tested positive following routine screening, they will remain in isolation until considered recovered. The number of persons in isolation either at a government facility or in their homes as required by the medical officer for health is 746. Total number of COVID-19 vaccines administered up until yesterday was 15,543, with 6,371 people having completed the 2-dose course so far. Again, very impressive. Folks, I just want to say to you, continue to respond positively, to this. Really, at this point in time, now that we have the advantage and the opportunity to have a vaccine, that is an additional way for you to be able to protect yourself as well. So please continue to do that. Okay, Doc, we're going to look at. I want to start off with the dissolution of the legislative of the Parliament, and we had two notices that were put out. I believe one was put out by the governor, and one was issued by the premier himself. I'm going to ask you to share the one that was sent out by the premier, if you have it. If not, if you can read, or if there's any point where you want to paraphrase from it, if it becomes too long, just go right ahead and do so. But please share that.
I could read all of that.
Yeah, you know what, Doc? Considering we only have about 1 minute before we go to our 8 o'clock news. So rather than starting that and not being able to complete it, let's just talk about the fact that we'll just point out that the governor issued a statement in relation to the dissolution of, and so did the premier. Some of the concerns that we will address, I remember seeing one on one of the blogs. Someone was asking about the holiday, for instance, whether or not, since the 26th of May was a holiday, whether or not the 14th of April will be a holiday. Well, the way that the election law is, and the holiday legislation, whatever day's election day is a holiday. Yeah, so the holiday will simply switch from the 26th of May to the 14th of April. The other, Ms. Susan, you want me to come to you now? Okay, folks, we're going to 8 o'clock news. When we return, we will certainly have a much longer period of time to talk with you. We're going to keep the phone lines closed for a little while so that we can establish a proper foundation for this discussion this morning, because there are so many things to discuss. So, folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back immediately after the 8 o'clock news.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. And studio time now by Foster's is 7:59. New Year healthy options live at Foster's.
When you need lunch on the go, head to the Fresh Salad Bar at all Foster's locations. Or if you're looking for a vegan meal, check out our new vegan hot bar at Foster's Camana Bay.
Replace that sugary drink with a locally brewed kombucha full of vitamins B, C, and antioxidants. Or get it on tap at our Camana Bay store.
And to help you whilst you're shopping, look out for the organic and all-natural signs in store.
For more healthy tips, follow us at Foster's Cayman on Facebook and Instagram. Foster's, better because we care.
The voice of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman.
Silver wings shining in the sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
The 8 a.m. News is proudly sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. For further information, please visit chamberpension.ky.
The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. We're here for you. Please be advised that the pension contribution holiday has been extended until 30th of June 2021. Employers and plan members should ensure arrangements are in place for salary deductions and remittance following this date. The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan, keeping you informed. For further information, visit chamberpensions.ky, and for information as it happens, follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Email admin@pensions.ky or call 745-7630. We're here for you.
Your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
With your latest news, I'm Karsley Fuller. Cayman's weather forecasters are honored for their achievements at a recent year-end event. Radio Cayman's Shanna Gallego reports.
At its annual Christmas party in December 2020, the Cayman Islands National Weather Service handed out a number of awards, most notably the 2020 Employee of the Year Award to Mr. Winston Gall. In 2020, Mr. Gall was instrumental in organizing the climatological section of the services. He provided training material to teach both Grand Cayman and Cayman Brac air traffic controllers in basic cloud recognition and weather observing practices. He serves as part of a team with the Director General to carry out quarterly quality management visits to Cayman Brac. He also started a supervisor training with government in November 2020, and the course is expected to be completed around June this year. In late October 2020, he traveled to Cayman Brac to install an Intel license system meteorological sensor. And Mr. Hall's one of two members that take part in a number of meetings during the year to support the Caribbean Climate Outlook Forum. During the awards event, the service also recognized Michael Carey as 2020 Support Services of the Year and Avalon Porter as 2020 Weather Forecaster of the Year. Officer Carey Powery received a Long Service Award in celebration of working at the service for 25 years. And it was Officer Floyd Webb who was recognized for working at the service for 30 years. Shanda Gallego, Radio Cayman News.
And literacy is for everyone, and Intertrust Group are now on phase 2 of their class libraries project.
We're slowly rolling out phase 2 as we speak, and we select schools after quite a rigorous kind of process of inventorying. We look at inspection reports, we look at resourcing gaps. We don't commit funds or kind of book resources until we can guarantee things like teacher training. And we really do kind of plan for the longevity of the books. We want them to be managed well, and we want there to be accountability.
Juliette Austin is the executive director for the nonprofit known as Life. She says the work they do wouldn't be possible without the help of partners like Intertrust, which has donated $111,000. Theoline McCoy Primary School and West End Primary Schools or Phase 1 recipients for the Class Libraries Project. You can find out more at life.org.ky. Now with a check of international news, here's the BBC, which will take us out of the newscast. I'm Karsley Fuller from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
BBC News with Neil Nunes. The Supreme Court in the UK has ruled that more than 50,000 Nigerian farmers and fishermen can sue the oil giant Royal Dutch Shell in British courts. It follows years of oil spills which contaminated land and water supplies in the Niger Delta. Russia has said it's ready to break off relations with the European Union if the bloc imposes new sanctions over the treatment of the opposition leader Alexei Navalny. Mr. Navalny is in court again, accused of defaming a Second World War veteran. He's already been sentenced to nearly 3 years in prison in a separate case. The United Nations Human Rights Envoy to Myanmar has called for sanctions against the leaders of last week's military coup. The UN Rights Council is holding an emergency session today on events in Myanmar. It's considering a resolution condemning the takeover and calling for the release of detained civilian leaders. China's downstream neighbors have urged it to share information on its dam operations on the Mekong River. The Mekong River Commission, which serves Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia, and Laos, says water has dropped to a worryingly low level. The UK chairman of one of the world's biggest accounting firms, KPMG, has resigned after telling staff to stop moaning about the impact of the coronavirus pandemic and lockdown. Bill Michael said his position had become untenable and that he was truly sorry that his words during a virtual staff meeting on Monday had caused hurt. The organizers of the Tokyo Olympics say they'll appoint a new president as soon as possible. The previous head, Yoshiro Mori, was forced to resign this week after making sexist remarks. A selection committee comprised of an equal number of men and women will choose his replacement. BBC News.
The 8 a.m. News is proudly sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. For further information, please visit chamberpension.ky. The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. We're here for you. We are a not-for-profit, member-centric plan with a democratically elected volunteer board of trustees representing all sectors of the Cayman Islands economy. We have an all-in expense ratio of less than 1%, over 20,000 members, and $490 million in assets under management. We were the first multi-employer pension plan approved by the regulator in the late 1990s, and today we are still strong, secure, and are here for our employees and employers alike. If you would like to join or require further information, visit chamberpension.ky. And for information as it happens, follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Email admin@pensions.ky or call 745-7630. The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. We're here for you.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
Green Turtle. Modern solutions to get you through the new normal. Download the Green Turtle app now and top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination. Home delivery of laptops, tablets, phones, accessories, and iTunes and major online retailer gift cards. And now, home deliveries of groceries and courier service. Guaranteed delivery within 2 hours from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Visit their list of products at greenturtle.ky or download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today, it can help save a life. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app, the future of mobile, saving lives today.
That thing we've been saying for 64 years, ignore it. Eat the KFC wings, drink the KFC gravy, fill up on fries. Just please forget the thing we normally suggest. You know, that thing you used to do with your tongue after finishing a delicious piece of our KFC chicken. We get it. It's not easy. There's a reason why it's been our slogan for over half a century. But the world's drastically changed of late, and as soon as we can embrace the change, the sooner we can all get back to doing what we do best. KFC. It's good.
Commencement at the University College of the Cayman Islands is being moved to spring, in line with more traditional practices in other countries. The spring date will allow graduating students to be part of the university's celebration of their accomplishments. UCCI's 2021 commencement ceremony will be on Saturday, the 24th of April 2021, 7:30 p.m. at Sir Vassal Johnson Hall. Application deadline for graduating students to apply for graduation is Friday, the 12th of March 2021. For all the information on Commencement 2021 and to access the graduation form, visit www.ucci.edu.ky/graduation.
During these unprecedented times, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Cayman Strong Series. The Cayman Strong Series is brought to you by On Course Cayman. Visit oncourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. OnCourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
Change your thinking, change your life. Ultimately, taking action is the surest way to achieve results.
As motivational speaker Tony Robbins said, I believe life is constantly testing us for our level of commitment, and life's greatest rewards are reserved for those who demonstrate a never-ending commitment to act until they achieve. This level of resolve can move mountains, but it must be constant and consistent. As simplistic as this may sound, it is still the common denominator separating those who live their dreams from those who live in regret.
Change your thinking, change your life.
Radio Cayman's Cayman Strong series was brought to you by OnCourse Cayman. Visit oncourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. OnCourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
These days, feelings of loneliness, anxiety, stress, and depression can be overwhelming. Just know you are not alone. OnCourse Cayman offers private mental health services for children, teens, adults, and groups. Visit oncourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. OnCourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
Good morning. Time now for the latest weather report. Current temperature is 80 degrees. Relative humidity is 76%. The barometric pressure, 29.90 inches and rising. The winds are calm. Overnight low temperature was 77 degrees. Synopsis indicate moderate southeasterly winds and seas expected across the Cayman area for the next 24 hours in association with the high-pressure system of the western Atlantic Ocean. Radar images show isolated showers in and around the Cayman area moving towards the northwest. Now the forecast for today and tonight calling for partly cloudy skies with a 30% chance of showers, and temperatures will be in the mid-80s today and will fall to the low 70s tonight. Your winds will be east to southeast at 10 to 15 knots. Seas will be moderate with wave heights of 3 to 5 feet. Today's high tide will occur this morning at 10:21. Low tide this afternoon at 4:29, and a high tide again tonight at 10:17. The sun will set this evening at 6:23 and will rise tomorrow morning at 6:55. And the outlook is calling for similar weather conditions through Sunday morning.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
As a good morning, let's take a look at what's happening on our roads. Bumper-to-bumper traffic coming from the east on Shamrock Road and the Linford Pearson Highway. Delay is expected as you head on down to Georgetown. A lot of patience needed this morning. Light traffic on Owen Roberts Drive, and traffic is steady. Some sections of North Sound Road, other sections of North Sound Road. Traffic moving along moderately. Light to moderate traffic flow on Edward Street, Shedden Road. Traffic is flowing at a good pace. Some sections of Crew Road steady and other sections moderate. And as we look to Godfrey Nixon Way and Eastern Avenue, traffic is flowing moderately. That's the very latest on your traffic. Join us again at about 10 minutes after 12. We'll give you another traffic report. Have a good morning and drive safe, Cayman Islands, and make it Subway.
Now you'll never have to choose between two desserts at Subway. The new caramel brownie cookie is 2 treats in 1. Imagine sweet, gooey caramel with decadent chocolate chunks baked in brownie-flavored dough and topped with a light drizzle of caramel icing. And you have the new caramel brownie cookie, available at Subway. Complete your Subway sandwich, pizza, or salad with the delicious caramel brownie cookie or any other cookie flavor and dessert. Available at all Subway locations. Subway. Eat fresh.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
as we ride the hamster wheel, scampering along the treadmill of living. We try to reset to this new normal, this new life. Where getting away is staying right here. Where vacation is staycation, staying safe. Where focus is surviving minutes, hours, days of anxiety. Step away and say hello to the latest exhibition of the National Gallery. Say hello to Alchemy by Cayman's premier sculptor, native son Horacio Esteban. Lose yourself in moments of geology meeting history, meeting botany, meeting zoology, meeting art. Where Caymanite and coral and unearthed cedar of thousands of years strike a pose in art. Bring your family. Leave your stress at the doors. Wellness, renewal, mental peppermint. Alchemy at the National Gallery, supported by Rotary Central Community Service. Rotary opens opportunities.
It is truly important to our country that the voices of all the people in the Cayman Islands are heard on Election Day. Your vote counts.
April 14th, 2021.
Exercise your democratic right and vote. A public service announcement from your #1 community station, Radio Cayman.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matters. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. My pleasure to have in the studio with me this morning Dr. Steve McFeel. We're living in interesting times in the Cayman Islands. Some people see it as a challenge. I see it as a learning experience for us. I see it as a way for us to strengthen our democracy, to strengthen our governance here in the Cayman Islands, to be a part of it. I do not see it as doom and gloom, and many can take it as a learning experience as well. So we're going to start off by sharing with you two statements that were issued. One issued by His Excellency the Governor, one issued by the Premier. We're going to parse some of that, and then we're going to refer to the particular section in our Constitution that is quoted, that is being used for dissolving the Parliament. And then we're going to get into the historical nature of it. We're going to get into other things as well. Like I said, we're going to close the phone lines off for a while because we really, really want to inform you as much as possible, because while some of you may be enlightened in terms of what is happening, there are others out there who may not be, and we want to ensure that you get as accurate information as possible, and we will try to give you accurate assessment that we make and interpretations that we make here as well. So we'll start off with the statement from His Excellency the Governor, which was issued on the 10th, Wednesday, the 10th of February. And it reads, says, at the request of and in consultation with the Premier, and I'm going to repeat that again, at the request of and in consultation with the Premier, I will be issuing a proclamation, which on Sunday, the 14th of February 2021, dissolving the Parliament in accordance with Section 84, subsection 2 of the Cayman Islands Constitution. I will, by proclamation, set Wednesday, the 14th of April 2020 as the date for the next general election, replacing the May general election date, as the Constitution sets out a maximum of 2 months between the dissolution of the Parliament and the general election. This date ensures that no newly registered eligible voters are disenfranchised. Returning officers will be issued writs setting nomination day as Monday, the 1st of March 2021. This date, just over 2 weeks from the dissolution of the Parliament, allows time for potential candidates to prepare. I have been assured by the supervisor of elections that the elections office will be able to deliver a smooth, fair, and transparent general election on this new date. Cayman Islands general elections have historically had excellent voter turnout, and I encourage all voters to exercise their democratic right and vote in the 14th of April 2021 general elections. And then, along with that statement, the general elections program has been published as well. So Sunday, the 14th of February, proclamation declaring the general elections based on the Cayman Islands Constitution Order, Section 86. The issuing of writs will take place on Monday, the 15th of February. Monday, the 22nd of February, the notice of nomination. On Monday, the 1st of March will be nomination day. Monday, the 1st of March will be nomination day. Thursday, the 4th of March, notice of contested elections. Wednesday, the 14th of April, election day for the elections as well. So those were put out by the governor. Doc, over to you from the premier.
Okay, so when we read the premier's statement, you will see the reasons why the premier went to the governor to ask the governor to exercise the royal prerogative to dissolve Parliament.
Okay.
The reasons are all within paragraphs of the Premier's statement. Okay. And this is what the Premier's statement says, dated 12th of February 2021. It says, as Premier, I consulted with His Excellency the Governor, Martin Roper, earlier today and requested that pursuant to Section 84(2) of the Cayman Islands Constitutional Order 2009 as amended, he issue a proclamation dissolving Parliament. Despite the fact that the Parliament was due to be dissolved on the 29th of March and no further meeting is being planned by the government, that's very important, the opposition and others continue to press for the removal of the Speaker. Currently, and for the second time, the leaders of the opposition is circulating a letter seeking signatures of at least 7 members to call a special meeting of the House to debate a motion of no confidence in the Speaker. He has not yet obtained the requisite number of signatures, but it's plain that as long as Mr. Bush remains as Speaker, the controversy over his recent conviction will not abate. The unity government which I lead is made up of 7 members of the Progressive Party, 3 independent and 2 members of the CDP, which Mr. Bush leads. Mr. Bush has indicated repeatedly that he will not resign the post of Speaker. And as I have said publicly on more than one occasion, I believe the forcible removal of Mr. Bush by the government would threaten the stability of the government. Were that to occur, it is almost certain that the governor would be forced to dissolve the Parliament in any event. A rancorous session of Parliament debating the no confidence motion may not end with the removal of Speaker Bush, as some opposition members may decline to vote in favor of the motion despite having signed a letter calling for a special meeting. But it will create rancor in our community and likely among members of my government. Without question, it will be a massive distraction from the critically important work we are engaged in, which ranges from dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic and efforts at reopening the economy while keeping Cayman safe, to addressing the continued threats of EU blacklisting. So after careful consideration, I have therefore determined that it is in the best interests of the country for Parliament to be dissolved immediately, which will have the effect of vacating the seat of the Speaker. Mr. Bush will no longer be the Speaker of the House and the country by way of earlier elections will determine who they wish to serve as their representatives. This includes the voters of West Bay West, deciding whether they wish Mr. Bush to be re-elected to Parliament. And that is the release of the reasons for the Premier going to the governor to consult with him and asking him to exercise the royal prerogative to dissolve Parliament.
Okay, before we go on to Section 84 of the Constitution, that portion of that statement that speaks to the fact that Mr. Bush will no longer be the Speaker, is that factually, if we fact-checked, is that factually correct? Because there is a provision in our Constitution that talks about in the event of the Parliament having to be recalled before the election,
but
that those are still members, or they're still members of Parliament, and in essence, if the Parliament were recalled for emergency reasons, Mr. Bush will still be the Speaker.
Well, under the British parliamentary system, once Parliament is dissolved, you're no longer an MP. You are once Parliament is dissolved, you are no longer an MP, and you cannot call yourself an MP. The only people who are still members of the executive Parliament are the cabinet. They are because the cabinet is separate from the legislature. The ministers are separate from the members of Parliament. Okay. And they still hold office. And by the way, the Speaker also continues to hold office.
Yeah, and what I'm going to share there with recalling this dissolved Legislative Assembly, which would be Parliament now, because we have to change all of this in our Constitution. Section 85. If between a dissolution of the Parliament and the date on which the next ensuing general election is held, a matter arises of a nature and urgency which, in the opinion of the governor, makes it necessary for the Assembly to be recalled, or for the Parliament to be recalled, the governor may, acting after consultation with the Premier, summon the Parliament that has been dissolved, and that Parliament shall thereupon be deemed, and this is in parenthesis, except for the purposes of Section 86, subsection 1, not to have been dissolved, but shall be deemed, except as aforesaid, to be dissolved on the date on which the next ensuing general election is held. So Parliament can be recalled, and if Parliament is recalled, it is recalled under the same structure that it was before, meaning you have your Premier, you have your ministers, you have your Speaker, you have your Leader of the Opposition. Everybody all in place.
I understand that. But under the British system, once Parliament is dissolved, under the British system, when Parliament is dissolved, you're no longer an MP. Our Constitution says otherwise. And I would like to go further to say that even if when Parliament is not recalled under our Constitution, the Speaker is still the Speaker. Because he is the Speaker until another Parliament appoints another Speaker. He may not be visible. He may not be sitting in the chair because there's no Parliament.
If he's re-elected,
no.
Otherwise, you would.
He still have the duties of the office, as he still have the executive duties of the office of Speaker. He's still allowed to go to the Speaker's office and to do those work, because remember now he's head of the department.
But he is not allowed to preside over Parliament because if he's not re-elected.
He's not presiding.
Okay,
physically presiding, but behind the scenes he is still in the office of Speaker.
I understand that, but bear in mind now that when it comes to one of the first things that is done when a new Parliament is the election of the Speaker, election of the Deputy Speaker, and usually the Father of the House performs that duty of sitting in the chair until that Speaker is allowed. So while he may be able to be in office, he's not allowed to preside unless
he
re-elected.
He can't preside.
Good. Okay.
He can't preside.
Okay.
And it's very funny and it's very interesting what the Premier has said here, and the penultimate paragraph of his reasons for seeking early elections.
Mm-hmm.
He said a rank-cross session of Parliament debating the no confidence motion may not end with the removal of Speaker Bush as soon as some opposition members may decline to vote in favor of the motion despite having signed a letter calling for a special meeting.
Yeah.
So it seems to me that the Premier believes that even if they have 7 signatures, which would require him to recall to have a special meeting of the legislature, that even then that
the motion
may not be carried
succeed,
because
yes.
some of the opposition may not vote for the motion. That is very interesting.
Yep.
That he has put that in a statement. So there are things that he knows that we do not know about the state of the affairs of the opposition.
Exactly, folks. Time for us to take a commercial break. When we return, we're going to revisit Section 84 of the Constitution that speaks to the prorogation and dissolution of our Parliament. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Whether you're finishing a new condo, upgrading your rental property, or simply renovating, make Roper's Enterprises your first stop. Quality furniture at a fraction of the price. Find everything for your home and kitchen at low prices. Roper's, your neighborhood store. Value, integrity. Roper's Enterprises, 122 Industrial Way. Your home deserves a quality finish. Visit their showroom or shop online at ropers.ky. Ropers, providing products and services for better public health.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, K-Man.
Thinking of getting a hybrid but don't know much about them? Vant Motors has lots of great reasons why you should choose a Toyota Corolla Hybrid or CHR Hybrid for your new ride. Hybrids save fuel, run cleaner, reduce CO2 emissions, and even recharge their batteries while being driven, so you don't ever have to worry about plugging them in. Both are super quiet as well as economical and fun to drive. So stop by Vant Motors to check out a new, fuel-efficient, eco-friendly Toyota Corolla Hybrid for only $26,900 or a sporty CHR Hybrid starting from $34,150 while stock lasts. Go Toyota. Go hybrid. Go to Vant Motors on Walkers Road. Bacardi presents One Love Legends of Reggae Concert, Saturday, February 13th at Coral Beach, featuring Mr. Notch and Local Motion 345, Erica Asai, Bonafide K-Man, and DJ Craig, covering legendary reggae music with a lovers rock twist for this pre-Valentine's Day show. Catch the free pre-show from 4 p.m. with the Neverines and Sugar Daddy. Tickets to the main event, $25, available from eventpro.ky or ticket outlets, Coral Beach, Blackbeard's Liquor Stores, Winner's Circle, FIS MoneyGram, Funky Tanks, Island Naturals Cafe, and ShopRite. One Love Legends of Reggae Concert is brought to you by Bacardi, Coral Beach, Burger Shack, Supermix, Caymanian Times, and Radio Cayman.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Ort Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. My pleasure to have in the studio with me this morning Dr. Steve Macfield. The phone lines remain closed for now because, folks, while some of you may possibly find the conversation boring this morning, we've reached a historical moment in the Cayman Islands. Very important one. All done transparently, all done in accordance, we believe, with the Constitution. we know that false information will be put out there that will have a tendency to try to influence some persons in relation to whether or not they go out there and vote or otherwise. And we simply just want to bring this information to you, try to bring some clarity to it, and also at some point in time address any questions that you may have when we open up the phone lines as well. So the governor speaks to the fact that he consulted with the premier. The premier speaks of the fact that he
consulted with the governor.
Right, and one was, I think the governor's had to do with a request or something like that, but as it may. So Section 84 of the Cayman Islands Constitution Order 2009, 84.1 reads, the governor, acting after consultation with the premier and by proclamation, may prorogue the Legislative Assembly and shall do so annually. Now, you're going to hear two important words in these sections. One is prorogue, and the other one is dissolve. And there's a difference, and you've heard many members of Parliament on this show point out the difference between prorogation and the dissolution of the House, right? Okay? So basically what it is that the Parliament has to be prorogued annually. It has to do so on an annual basis, right? And that's what subsection 1 of section 84 covers. Subsection 2, the governor, acting after consultation with the premier, may at any time by proclamation dissolve the Legislative Assembly. That is what has been done in this particular case.
Puts it to an end.
Yeah.
No more assembly.
Right.
Until the new election.
Yes.
That's what that means.
Basically, unless an emergency arises.
Yes, unless an emergency arises.
And subsection 3 reads, the governor shall dissolve the Legislative Assembly at the expiration of 4 years from the date which the Assembly first meets after any general election, unless it has been dissolved, being sooner dissolved pursuant to the section. That last part there, that is what has happened.
Yes.
Now, the other portion of that that says that may dissolve the Assembly at the expiration of 4 years from the date.
That's the fixed date.
That was the fixed date of the 26th of May 2021.
That is the fixed date, but that's an exemption there. If it's dissolved sooner.
Yes.
So the fixed date, although is a fixed date, is not really a fixed date.
Yeah. Okay, now let's parse this. There was one curiosity that I had in relation to this doc was, it says the governor acting after consultation in subsection 1.
Yes.
The governor acting
yes.
after consultation in subsection 2 in terms of dissolution, and in the other one in terms of proroguing. What it doesn't say here is who makes the move first.
Well,
who makes the move first?
The premier makes the move first.
Okay.
Because it says the governor after consultation with the premier. So it's obvious that the premier has to go to consult the governor.
Or it could be the
governor
could have consulted the premier.
But it's usually the prime minister going to the queen or going to the king, because it's very. In my notes here, I have what the historian said about that particular place.
Good, share that with us, Doc.
It said the powers to summons to prorogue or to dissolve Parliament have long been recognized as core executive powers. Sir William Blackstone, in his venerable commentaries on the laws of England, observed, "For as the king has the sole right of convening the Parliament, so also it is the branch of the royal prerogative that he may, whenever he pleases, prorogue the Parliament for a time or put a final period to its exercise." Now, that was days now, but he has to be advised by. So if he has to be advised by the prime minister to do so in England and other countries, is the prime minister then who makes the first move.
Okay, and in this particular case in Cayman, it is quite obvious that the premier went to the governor. Because he knew the state of affairs in relation to the Parliament, in relation to his party and everything else.
Yes.
So that was with that. Okay, so that covers that. Now, let's talk about very quickly, just for comparison. Mr. Donna Ebanks, myself, I think you've done some research in it as well. We have looked at at many overseas territories' constitutions.
Yes, that's right.
And we have looked at some independent countries' constitution as well.
Yes.
And they all have the proviso in it that the governor or the governor general, in dissolving the Parliament, acts on the advice
or consultation.
Right.
In the colonial constitution, mostly is on consultation.
Mm-hmm.
In the independent constitution, it's advice.
Yeah, but all of the overseas territories that we looked at, Turks and Bermuda, British Virgin Islands, Turks and Caicos Islands, Montserrat, Anguilla, Gibraltar. Now, in the Gibraltar Constitution, there is a proviso in there, and it says that the governor may act contrary to the advice given to him by the premier if he considers that good government in Gibraltar requires him to so act. So he may act contrary to the advice if he feels that good government
that is because it is his prerogative.
Yes.
It is his prerogative alone.
Okay.
He doesn't move because it comes from the premier or the prime minister. It is his prerogative. He listens to them, but it's him, because it's a royal prerogative. It's a key royal prerogative. It's an exercise of the royal prerogative that only he can exercise. And this brings me to the next point.
So, but before you go there, I have a question for you. So, in the absence of that provision in our Constitution, right? In the absence of that, could the governor have refused to accede to after consultation with the premier?
Of course he could have.
Okay.
Of course, that's his prerogative.
Mm-hmm.
He could have done that.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just like to lead you into my other notes. It says, as to whether legislation could be validly enacted by Parliament to fetter the Prime Minister's or the Governor advice to the Governor General or on prorogation, or for that matter, dissolution, the better view would appear to be that Parliament cannot fetter the Prime Minister's capacity to advise the Governor on these matters. And from the standpoint of constitutional law, the legal power to prorogue or to dissolve Parliament lies entirely in the hands of the Governor General or the Governor.
Mm-hmm.
However, as a matter of constitutional convention, that power is almost always exercised on the advice of the Prime Minister. It has been argued by some that since the Governor General is not bound as a matter of law to heed the Prime Minister's advice, it might be possible to fetter the Prime Minister's discretion while leaving the formal legal power of the Governor General untouched indeed. And in no act of Parliament has gone so far as to purport to fetter the Prime Minister's substantive capacity to advise the Crown. The reason is that in our system, there's a risk that in statutorily binding a Prime Minister's capacity to advise the Governor General on the exercise of their powers, Parliament would in fact be affecting the office and powers of the Governor General. So, you cannot fetter the powers of the Governor to say yes or to say no, as some people want to go now with the judicial review. You cannot do that. That is the executive power of the Crown, and you cannot say whether or not he has used the Governor or the Queen or whoever has decided whether yes he should do it or yes he should not do it.
Okay.
You saw that in the Boris Johnson case.
Yes.
In the Boris Johnson case. That is for the Crown. That's a Crown prerogative. And you cannot go into whether or not they have used their advice wrongly or rightly.
Okay. Another question for you now. When we look at independent countries, let's say, for instance, Jamaica.
Yes.
The Governor General.
Yes.
It is, more of a symbolic position than anything else because they're part of the Commonwealth.
That's right.
So, but when we look at our governor here in the Cayman Islands,
that's right.
It's more than that because it gives the governor has additional executive powers that a governor general in an independent country may not have because basically they normally will go along with the government
because it's on the advice.
Yes. Yeah.
He has to act on the advice of the premier or the prime minister.
But ours says
differently. It says after consultation.
Okay.
So after consultation, he can say, sir, Mr. Premier, I don't see the reasons why I should call I don't see the reason why I should dissolve the parliament, and maybe you should go back to the legislature and see if you can dissolve that crisis yourself within your own body.
Okay.
That's what the governor can tell him.
Okay, we're going to take a commercial break. When we return, we're going to look at the constitutional talks, in particular, one discussions that took place during the second round of constitutional talks on Thursday, the 15th of January, 2009. And I believe that those were held in the Cayman Islands at the Westin. And we're going to see how we ended up in our constitution using the words after consultation rather than acting on the advice of. So, folks, don't change that dial if you want to hear this. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
I grew up in a Canadian village with a general store that had just about anything you could ever need. That's what I'm reminded of every time I go into West Bay Pharmacy. It's not just because it's well stocked with necessities and oddities, but also because it's like our community hub. The staff treat customers like friends. Ron and the team of pharmacists have kept my family patched up and flu-free for years, and there are usually a few good laughs mixed in. They are truly taking care of my health and my family's health. West Bay Pharmacy is the very best of Cayman kind.
Green Turtle. Modern solutions to get you through the new normal. Download the Green Turtle app now and top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination. Home delivery of laptops, tablets, phones, accessories, and iTunes and major online retailer gift cards. And now, home deliveries of groceries and courier service. Guaranteed delivery within 2 hours from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Visit their list of products at greenturtle.ky or download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today, it can help save a life. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app, the future of mobile, saving lives today.
Hi, I'm remodeling our bathroom. I have a few questions.
Sure.
What are some ideas to make my bathroom feel larger? How do I know if I'm picking the right vanity? How do I choose a new toilet or a new countertop? Also, the lighting is terrible. Can I put a window or a skylight? And do I really need an exhaust fan?
You've come to the right place. At Brand Source, we custom design kitchen and baths, and our talented design team can help answer your questions. Whether you're looking for a modern, functional family bathroom or a luxurious personal retreat, we'll help create that beautiful space that makes your home yours. And if you're in a rush for a new look and have a limited budget, our ready-to-install bathroom vanities built with solid wood and countertops of the finest materials are a quick and easy remodeling solution.
For the very best in custom-designed kitchens and baths, visit Brand Source Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, Cayman's Kitchen and Bath Center.
Cayman Arts Festival is back. The 2021 festival features Cayman's artistic performers, including Cayman's musical inspiration, Glenn Inanga, Saturday, February 13th, 6:30 p.m. at the Westin Hotel Ballroom. Inanga is a multi-award winner, performed internationally, and has collaborated with Grammy Award-winning artists. See Glenn Inanga live in concert, Saturday, February 13th, 6:30 p.m. at the Westin Hotel Ballroom. Tickets are available at www.caymanartsfestival.com. For more information, call 922-5550 or email inquiries@caymanartsfestival.com. This event is sponsored by Butterfield Bank.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orit Connor. continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. So as promised now, I will read some excerpts from the formal negotiations in the Cayman Island, on the Cayman Islands Constitution, the second round, Thursday the 15th of January 2009. And this is Susan Dixon, who was one of the legal advisors, along with the Ian Henry, the lead negotiator for the United Kingdom government on the Cayman Islands Constitution 2009. Ms. Susan Dixon, thank you. I just wanted to make one more point, picking up on what Minister Arden said, which was this point about, he mentions Turks and Caicos Islands and prorogation, and their constitution is drafted like this. And if you look at 81, that is section 81.
Of their constitution.
Yes, of their constitution, you see that the governor has to act in accordance with the advice of the premier to prorogue the Legislative Assembly. So, with that provision, the governor hasn't a choice. He has to act on the premier's advice. This is the legal advisor, Susan Dixon, saying that, right? And then, with the combination of that and what we have in Section 83, subsection 2, that is in our draft constitution at that time, right? It means that the Assembly could be prorogued for up to a period of a year. I notice in the BVI Constitution, they provide the House has to meet within a period of 3 months. So a period of not more than 3 months passes between the last sitting in one session and the first sitting in the next session, which means a prorogation couldn't last for longer than that because of, at the moment, you do have this situation. I mean, it may be in practice that they'll have to reconvene to pass financial legislation or whatever, but you know, based on this, you could prorogue for up to a year on the advice of the premier. And then there's some inaudible stuff. And then Susan Dixon goes on to say 12 months can pass between the last sitting in one session and the first sitting in the next. So it's not prorogued. Then we have the Honorable McKeever Bush. But what is being, if you're moving to 84, we have some fundamental problems with. If you're moving to 84, Mr. Chairman. The chairman? Yes, okay. Honorable McKeever Bush. Because we want to look at it, I don't have wording for it, but it gives rise for concern, knowing that things can happen about the prorogation and dissolution on the advice. Honorable D. Kurt Tibbetts, your problem is on the advice of the premier? That's a question. Honorable W. McKeever Bush, or yes. Honorable Kurt Tibbetts, or acting after consultation with the premier? Honorable McKeever Bush, acting in accordance with the advice of the premier and in proclamation. And there's something was inaudible at that point in time. Then the Honorable McKeever Bush went on and said, and I didn't give it no wording. Then he goes on to say, yeah, but if you take it to extremes, and folks, this is important for you to listen to. This is important. This is a really important part of it. Yeah. But if you take it to extremes, let's say that something can happen. The premier, as has happened in other territories, can tell the governor, and I quote, look, these are a bunch of renegades I have to deal with. Prorogue this house now, and all that sort of thing. Anything can happen. So, as I said, Mr. Chairman, I don't have wording. Folks, I'm going to read that for you again and see if this sounds familiar when you hear the premier's reason for calling the early elections. He says, yeah, but if you take it to its extreme, let's say that something can happen, the premier, as has happened in other territories, can tell the governor, look, these are a bunch of renegades I have to deal with. Prorogue this house now, and all that sort of thing. Anything can happen. So as I said, Mr. Chairman, I don't have the wording. Then Honorable Kurt Tibbetts said, what are your suggestions? Mr. Bush said, I'm suggesting that we have a rethink on it. Honorable Kurt Tibbetts said, what obtains now? The chairman then says, the governor may at any time by proclamation prorogue or dissolve the assembly. Then Honorable Kurt Tibbetts said, the governor may at any time by proclamation prorogue the assembly. That's what happens now. The chairman says, would your concern, McKeever, be met if one said, after consultation with, instead of in accordance with the advice of Honorable McKeever Bush, consultation, Honorable, the question, Honorable Kurt Tibbetts, consultation for both, Honorable McKeever Bush, yes. I guess he has to consult the Premier. Honorable McKeever Bush, I hear you, Chairman. So, 84 subsection 1 will say, acting after consultation. And then the chairman says, the governor acting after consultation with the Premier may prorogue the assembly, legislative assembly, annually. Honorable D. Kurt Tibbetts, are we going to say shall do so annually? Chairman, well, if it's acting on consultation, the governor retains some discretion because it's not binding. The Premier's advice is not binding. So, Chairman, the governor acting after consultation with the Premier, Honorable Kurt Tibbetts, may prorogue the Legislative Assembly. The Chairman may prorogue the Legislative Assembly and shall do so annually. So, folks, that is how we ended up with the phrase in our Constitution that requires the governor to act after consultation with the Premier as opposed to acting on the advice of the Premier. And here again, what Ian Henry, the chairman, said confirms what you pointed out to us earlier, Dr. McField, that then the governor does have discretion. Anything you want to add to that, Doc?
No, the discretion is with the governor. Yeah. And it's the core executive power of the crown. One of the core executive powers of the crown, because don't forget that our Constitution still says that the executive power rests with the Queen, yes. And the Queen is part of the Parliament. Yes, she's in Parliament also, and so therefore, it doesn't matter what the Premier says to the governor. The governor could have told him, you go back down there and you try to resolve this. The reason why you want me to dissolve it is because of Mr. Bush sitting in the chair. You go down there and use the mechanism that you have available to you in the Parliament to get rid of Mr. Bush before I dissolve Parliament. He could have said that to the Premier, but the Premier said to him, listen, even the people who are bringing the motion, they might not have the majority among them to be able to pass the motion, and therefore, because of that, my government may find themselves in a position where I may not be able to control it, and my government might fall, and that might be worse politically, internationally, than you dissolving the Parliament and calling a new election. So the best thing that I see for the country is to let the country decide in a new election who they want to be as speaker and who they want to be as the new MPs in a matter.
And what it demonstrates to the whole world is that our Constitution and our government is functioning the way that it was designed to function as well. Folks, top of the hour.
And as I said, it may look rootless to some people, but it's not reckless and it's legal.
Folks, top of the hour. Headline news at 9 o'clock. When we return, we're going to cover one more subject in relation to anyone who may possibly be disenfranchised as a result of the election date being moved. And after that, we're going to open up the phone line somewhat as well. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
It's only 2 species that we have here on Island.
Your voice, your choice.
It is in the best interest of the people of these islands.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
Government reported the results of 331 COVID-19 tests on Thursday. 3 came back positive. 6,371 people in Cayman have now taken both doses of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine, with 15,500 vaccines administered to date. Donald Trump's defense lawyers are set to present evidence in the U.S. Senate denying charges he incited insurrection at the Capitol riots on January 6th. The team has indicated it may take only 4 hours of its 16 hours and so move the impeachment trial to a speedy end. Democrats spent 2 days putting their case, including video footage of the violence, and arguing acquittal could see a repeat of the attack on Congress. Acquittal is the likely verdict, though, as most Republicans remain unmoved. And Russia's foreign minister says it is prepared to sever ties with the European Union if the bloc imposes new economically painful sanctions. The EU has raised the prospect of further sanctions amid a row over the treatment of the jailed Russian opposition leader, Alexei Navalny. When an interviewer asked if Russia was heading for a, quote, break with the EU, the foreign minister said, quote, we're ready for that. If you want peace, prepare for war, he said. Those are your headlines. I'm Karsley Fuller.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Your voice, your choice, your radio.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. My pleasure to have in the studio with me Dr. Steve McPhail. We're talking about the recent dissolution of Parliament, the moving of the election date from the 26th of May 2021 to the 14th of April 2021, some mere, 6 weeks. What it also demonstrates is you've heard calls by members of the Legislative Assembly, and one of the strong proponents of this has always been the Honorable Arden McLean, Leader of the Opposition, about moving the dates closer together between nomination day and election day, and having such a long period for gap in between. What has been done now demonstrates that that is possible, that it can be done.
Yes, 6 weeks should be enough for any election instead of 3 months.
Yeah. So there are some who have some concerns, and we keep hearing talk. I've heard some talk about possible disenfranchisement of electors. The only ones that I can see, and I believe you agree with me on this, is that there is a proviso that if you're going to turn 18 before the date of the election, so if a person was going to turn 18 before the 26th of May, they're allowed to register early and to vote on election day. Now, and I think the registering officer and the elections office is required to put a special notation or denote those names on there so that they're properly identified.
Yeah, because they would be on the register by now.
Right, yeah.
Those names would be on the register by now.
Yeah.
Those names would have to be then lined through them. They would have to put a line through them now, because they will not be able to vote now on the 26th of May.
Right, if they're already on there. Now, the final register of electors will come out on the 1st of April. That's when it actually comes into force.
So they might not be
so
on there then.
There might be enough time for them
Yes,
to
yes.
to avoid any confusion and for someone later to make a false claim that we have people on the register who are not
eligible to vote
on there and everything else. So that is important, as well. Over to you, Doc. Kenny.
Well, it's very interesting when you read the Premier's. I have to go back to that because it's very interesting because this is the catalyst. This is the catalyst for everything. It's very interesting to hear what he had to say. That even members of the opposition may decline to vote in favor of the motion if the motion was brought. So it seemed to me that he has more information than the public has and more information that I have, and I would like to know. I would like to be what they call it, a fly in the wall,
yes.
To see who among the opposition would not be in favor of voting for the motion to remove the speaker if it had been brought. And that is very, very important in this whole thing. So it's not really a crisis; it's a way out. It's a solution to Mr. Bush. And it seemed to me that Mr. Bush refusing to resign has prompted as speaker has prompted the Premier to now ask for the governor to call a general an election sooner than the fixed date in Section 843. And that's the position that we're finding ourselves in today.
Okay. Now, what's the other thing that came to mind? We see in other legislatures or legislative bodies where there are times when the vote is secret, and then there are times when there is a voice vote. I'm not as familiar with our standing orders as to whether or not that is allowed, or whether or not they're all voice votes. There are only voice votes and no secret ballots that are cast. We know that secret ballots are cast when it comes to the election of the speaker.
Yes. When it comes to election of the speaker, and there's no division. You cannot call for division.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know if. Well, I guess if the motion came, it would be an open ballot.
Yeah. So you would know exactly.
You would know who voted to remove him and who voted not to remove him.
Okay. Now there's something else that I want to share with our listeners, because this was issued yesterday as well. And pending elections, electors can vote on the 14th of April. And this was a statement that came out from the It says, His Excellency the Governor issued a proclamation to dissolve Parliament and set Wednesday the 14th of April 2021 as the new date for the next general election. This date was selected in part to ensure newly registered and eligible voters will still be able to cast their vote in the 2021 general election. Before the 20th of January 2021 registration dateline, 1,406 individuals registered to vote. The names of these voters are now listed on the revised list of electors, which was published for public review on the 3rd of February 2021. Claims and objections relating to the revised lists must be submitted before the 25th of February 2021. All claims and objections will be published on the 4th of March. The revising officer, who is a chief magistrate, will hear these claims and objections between the 22nd and 26th of March 2021. Following the outcome of the hearings, the revised lists will be finalized and become the official list of electors on the 1st of April 2021. Everyone on this list will be eligible to cast their vote in person in the general election on the 14th of April 2021. Individuals on the revised list of electors who are currently 17 years, now this is the important part, right? I'm going to repeat that. Individuals on the revised list of electors who are currently 17 years old and will not turn 18 on or before the new general election date will not be eligible to vote on the 14th of April. That's just like we said. 16 individuals fall into that category. So they have already identified them, like we said, Dr. McField. 16 individuals fall into that category, and they will be contacted by the registering officers. Postal voting is available to anyone who will be or likely to be off island on election day. Postal ballots can now be requested and will be dispatched following nomination day for everyone eligible. Requests for postal or mobile voting from newly eligible voters will be actioned after the 1st of April 2021. Postal ballots will be dispatched by commercial courier. Mobile voting is available to anyone on island who is unable to visit a polling station on election day. Requests for mobile voting can now be submitted. Registering officers will be contacting all persons who submitted postal and mobile voting forms for the May election date prior to the announcement of the 14th of April general election date to determine if those persons still require postal voting or mobile voting for the new date. Information on who can qualify for postal mobile voting can be found at elections.ky along with the necessary forms to complete. Alternatively, individuals may contact the elections office at office@elections.ky, or you can visit the office at 68 West Bay Road, Georgetown. 68 West Bay Road is in the Marin's Plaza, where Kentucky Fried is located. It's the former offices where HSBC were located prior to that. There's only one concern that I had with this and with this release, and they addressed it later on, and it said something that about persons being all persons will be able to being able to vote in person. I'll try to find it again, but they have clarified that after that, about the postal voting as well. Sure, Doc, go right ahead.
For your listeners, I would just like to share with them the difference between our Constitution and as far as elections are concerned, and the House of Commons in England.
Okay.
It's a complete different thing.
Sure.
While in Cayman we have a discretion, we have the royal prerogative to dissolve and to prorogue and to dissolve Parliament. Yes, under Section 84. There's no such thing in England. You can't do that in England.
Okay.
It says, the fixed term Parliamentary Act 2011 set a 5-year interval between ordinary general elections. General elections are scheduled to take place on the first Thursday in May in every 5th year. The next general election is scheduled to take place on the 2nd of May 2024. The Act includes 2 mechanisms that could lead to early general elections. The Act applies that early elections can only be held if a motion of an early general election is agreed either by at least 2/3 of the whole House or without division, or if a motion of no confidence is passed and no alternative government is confirmed by the Commons within 14 days. The Act put dissolution on a statutory footing. Previously, Parliament was dissolved by the Queen on the advice of the Prime Minister. Now Parliament can only be dissolved in accordance with the Act.
Okay.
So that's the difference in England.
Okay.
You can only have early elections. You can only go outside the date if a motion for an early election is agreed by at least 2/3 of the whole House or without division, or if a motion of no confidence is passed and no alternative government is confirmed by the Commons within 14 days. In other words, if there's a the government is false and somebody doesn't come forward within 14 days to say, I have the numbers, I have the people that I can form a new government, and I'm McQueen, and I would like you to install me as prime minister because I have the numbers now.
Yeah.
If that doesn't happen, then you have to go back to the 4 years.
Okay.
The 5 years.
So you can't really force a government to continue if it's not sustainable.
Exactly.
Yes. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. I just the concern that I had with the release that was made, it spoke about the final list becoming official on the 14th. On the 1st of April, and then it says everyone on this list will be entitled to cast their vote in person. And I would just say that really, it's it needs a little bit correction, because they can cast their vote in person or by post.
Yes,
it should say, but it shouldn't really say that, even though they have covered it after and talk about postal ballots and everything else. But that may be a matter of semantics that I'm arguing, but that's it. Okay, we're going to take a commercial break. We have callers on hold now because we have opened up the phone lines. Callers, we're going to take a quick commercial break. Hang in there. As soon as we return, we're going to accommodate you, so please stay tuned.
I grew up in a Canadian village with a general store that had just about anything you could ever need. That's what I'm reminded of every time I go into West Bay Pharmacy. It's not just because it's well stocked with necessities and oddities, but also because it's like our community hub. The staff treat customers like friends. Ron and the team of pharmacists have kept my family patched up and flu-free for years, and there are usually a few good laughs mixed in. They are truly taking care of my health and my family's health. West Bay Pharmacy is the very best of Caymankind.
Honey, our fridge has stopped working again. Everything in the freezer is melting. We need to get this repaired right away. I'm calling Brand Source Service.
When you need the very best appliance service, call Brand Source Service at 623-5000. Offering service and installation of all brands and models of appliances. Brand Source Service is Cayman's source for appliance parts and repairs, with qualified and experienced technicians and the island's largest stock of appliance parts. Brand Source Service will have your repair completed in a flash. So, whatever the problem is, call the experts at 623-5000. Brand Source Service, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park. Telephone 623-5000.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
April 14th, 2021 is Election Day in the Cayman Islands.
Running for political office is no easy feat. You need to be everywhere, all of the time.
Now is the time to get your important messages out to the voting public.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, has always been there for incumbents and future candidates alike. Whether you want to get your political commercials or infomercials on air, make in-house studio appearances, or have your district meetings broadcast live to the listening audience.
Set a time today to meet with one of our knowledgeable Radio Cayman sales account executives who have their fingers on the pulse of the community.
Call them today on 949-7799 or email rcsales@gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, we've been in the community for just about 45 years. That means something.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. We have two callers. First caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Yes. Good morning. We'll see you. How are you?
Good morning. I'm fine. How are you, my friend?
Pretty good. Nice weather.
Okay. So yeah, some fishing going on up there then, huh? Some fishing maybe going on up there. Send us some fish.
Yeah, I would think so, yeah. Yeah, definitely. OC, first of all, good morning, and to you and Mr. Dr. Maxfield.
Good morning, sir. Morning.
Yes, and I would like to say to Dr. Maxfield, I really appreciate you coming on with OC to sort of explain to the public about what sort of could take place or taking place in the Parliament. You understand? So, but on another note, this whole episode with the Speaker and the Premier, it seems to me that they just want to keep on passing this premiership to each other. Because if the Speaker is removed from Parliament, or if he's not removed from Parliament...
He'll be removed from the chair.
From the chair, right. Yeah. And he's allowed to run again.
Which he will be allowed to run, because the Constitution doesn't prevent him from running.
And then what determines now who becomes the Premier?
That is determined by the party who has the majority in the legislature after the election. If the Constitution says if no party has a majority, then it goes to the vote on the floor in the Legislative Assembly, and the person who has to see who has command of the majority, and if 19 people voted for Mr. X and say that he has our support, then he will become the Premier.
Okay. So what it would take now to remove the Speaker from the House?
A motion of no confidence.
From the House, he's talking about now from the House.
Oh, the people from West Bay? The people from West Bay would have to say, we don't want him to represent us anymore, and do not vote for him.
If he's not elected.
If he's not elected, that's the end of him in the House.
Would that be the only way?
That's the only way.
That's the only way now. He has.
That's the only way.
There's nothing in the Constitution that removes him as,
And I doubt that's going to happen.
Wow.
You become ineligible to be a candidate if you have been convicted of an
offense where the Senate is more dishonesty.
Yes.
If he was convicted of stealing something or some dishonesty, or if he had been convicted where the sentence was over 1 year imprisonment, he would not be able to run.
Wow. Wow. But I just don't get it, man, because, it's sort of ridiculous to know.
But it's the will of the people, my friend. As long as the people are prepared to cast their vote for any individual, we have to honor that. That's the big debate that is taking place in the United States right now.
That's right.
Wow. Whoa. Wow.
Okay. Give us a chance to grab the next caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
I know, see.
Hey, morning. How are you?
Morning, Dr. Steve.
Good morning.
Boy, I'm sitting on the bed. It's refreshing to hear somebody talking sense in the Cayman Islands. It really is, No, Dr. Steve, you know me from my point of view. Where I dealing with.
Are you running? You running on the weed picket?
Oh yeah. Oh, no weed, no vote. That's for sure.
Yes.
But what I'm saying now, in 2000 when the on the white paper ordered that homosexuality in the Cayman Islands was legal. Okay? And then the gay community, the LGBT plus whatever they are, they stood up for their rights to be married. Okay? And they won the case. Okay? The heterosexual could marry, the gay could marry. Well, we watered it down to a same-sex union. But they're not playing because on the 28th this month, the Privy Council can rule that they can be married. More power to them. Now, in 2016-17, all of our members, every one of them voted to legalize marijuana, cannabis extract for
Health purposes.
Huh?
For health purposes.
For health purposes, okay.
Medical.
Good, good.
For medical purposes.
Medical purposes. All right. Well, even dogs getting in now, and they can't talk, so that the dog got more right than the Caymanian. Now, Dr. Steve, on this section 16, I think, of our Constitution.
Yes, section 16.
Right. Now, one segment of our community was being disenfranchised, whatever you want to call it, because they were gay and they couldn't marry. Now, how can one section of our community sell cannabis because they are licensed doctors, but I'm a licensed commercial farmer, but I can't grow the medicine to sell to them? If that's not discrimination, my friend, I don't know what it is. I mean, somebody need to tell me that.
Well, you see, there's the Misuse of Drugs Act law that prevents you from doing that. The Misuse of Drugs law has exemptions. Excuse me, has exemptions in relation to the to medical purposes, but you have to get a license to do that. And in order to get a license to do that, you would have to negotiate with your representatives and get them to bring an act of parliament or a mean of law to be able to allow you to grow it and to use it yourself. Otherwise, the misuse of drug law still applies to your part of the use of the drug, of the plant.
You there, caller?
I think he's gone.
Listen, on a call of members of parliament, representatives.
Yes.
I have talked to them. You know what? I got a new phrase from now. Because I can be running election too, but I not running there where you call what I see going on in the house now. They are cowards and ghetto builders. We building the prettiest ghetto in the Caribbean. And I have a nice day, my friend. No weed, no vote.
Thank you very much. Okay, I have a WhatsApp message that I want to share as well, and this one actually ties in with the first caller, and this writer has said, "Good morning, Dr. Macfield and Mr. Connor. My take on the situation that has unfolded is that it stems from the unconstitutional manner in which the government was formed after the 2017 election. The Constitution at Section 49 clearly sets out the steps that must be taken to form a government and to appoint a premier if a contending party gains a majority in the election. Then Section 49.2 applies. If no party gains a majority, there is Section 49.3. Section 49.3 applies. Unfortunately, this was not done in 2017. In breach of the Constitution, the then Governor, Mrs. Kilpatrick, announced that, quote, our government has been formed, and the premier was determined before the actions of Section 49.3 had taken place, and this destroyed the intent of Section 49.3 when some form without the meaning of it did take place after her announcement. The intent of Section 49.3 is to enable a government to be formed according to the will of the electorate when no party gets a majority. Instead, Cayman suffered a constitutional coup after the elections in 2017. It is important that this is identified now so that a similar coup is forestalled and prevented in 2020. 2021.
Yes, I've said that several times, and when you read some of the media, one of the only people that I see has been speaking about it was Reverend Sykes. Mm-hmm. And this is what the Constitution says: the Premier shall be appointed by the governor as follows. Where a political party gains a majority of the seats of elected members of the legislative of the assembly, the governor shall appoint as Premier the elected member of the assembly, recommended by a majority of the elected members who are members of that party. And it goes on to say, if no political party gains such a majority, or if no recommendation is made under subsection 2, I just read, the Speaker shall cause a ballot to be held among the elected members of the Legislative Assembly to determine which elected member commands the support of the majority of such members, and shall record the vote of each member voting, and where such a ballot is held, the governor shall appoint as Premier the elected member who obtains a majority of the votes of the elected members. Mm-hmm. So
that first part about the party itself, can you read that again?
It says, the Premier shall be appointed by the governor as follows. Mm-hmm. Where a political party gains a majority of the seats of elected members of the Assembly, mm-hmm. the governor shall appoint as Premier the elected member of the Assembly, recommended by a majority of the elected members who are members of that party.
Mm-hmm. But it says a majority, not a plurality. You have
majority,
to have a majority
of that party. Mm-hmm. It does not say that two political parties can get together mm-hmm. and form and amalgamate themselves to get the majority of people and then go to the legislator and say that this person has the majority and he should be appointed Premier. That's completely wrong.
So you agree with the writer?
Yes, I agree with the writer, and that is what happened.
Okay.
And that's what happened, and it's not constitutional to go behind for two political parties to go behind the legislature and agree who's going to be Premier before they get into the House mm-hmm. and has a vote where everybody can vote their conscience.
Okay. And even though the outcome, if they had gone to the other stage where the whole legislature, you may have ended up with the same outcome. But you should at least go through the stages.
Exactly.
Okay, we have a caller on hold, but we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we return, we will take that caller. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Green Turtle, modern solutions to get you through the new normal. Download the Green Turtle app now and top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination. Home delivery of laptops, tablets, phones, accessories, and iTunes and major online retailer gift cards. And now, home deliveries of groceries and courier service. Guaranteed delivery within 2 hours from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Visit their list of products at greenturtle.ky or download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today it can help save a life. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app. The future of mobile, saving lives today.
Did you know the third most important factor for customer retention is cleanliness? With 95% of shoppers saying exterior appliance influences where they decide to shop. Keep your business clean with Roper's Janitorial. From offices to restaurants, interior and exterior, walls to rugs and flooring. Roper's cleans it all, including 24-hour emergency service. Roper's Janitorial, 949-2511 or email janitorial@ropers.ky. Dress your business for success with Roper's Janitorial. We make your business shine. 949-2511. Roper's, providing products and services for better public health.
Cayman Arts Festival is back. The 2021 festival features Cayman's artistic performers, including Cayman's musical inspiration, Glenn Inanga, Saturday, February 13th, 6:30 p.m. at the Westin Hotel Ballroom. Inanga is a multi-award winner, performed internationally, and has collaborated with Grammy Award-winning artists. See Glenn Inanga live in concert, Saturday, February 13th, 6:30 p.m. at the Westin Hotel Ballroom. Tickets are available at www.caymanartsfestival.com. For more information, call 922-5550 or email inquiries@caymanartsfestival.com. This event is sponsored by Butterfield Bank.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. As promised, we're going straight to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Speaker. How are you?
Good morning to Dr. Matfield.
Good morning, sir.
I want to say I've been listening. I don't get to listen to everything because people start to come to my house very early in the morning, but most of the time I have to catch in between pieces.
Mm-hmm.
I listen intently, though, to what you and Dr. Steve has been saying, and you brought in a lot of historical stuff. I'm going back to the discussion in the constitutional talks, which didn't get settled here. You know, you remember that?
Right, Lancaster House. Yeah,
that got settled in London, Lancaster House, and then we all accepted that was the way to go. The way that section was to go, we all accepted that, okay, because I give it that the British is going to, there are certain things in our country that they're not going to relinquish as long as on a British overseas territory, and I've said that quite often, and I held that then there are things they're not going to let go until we take down the flag, and nobody's going to do that at any point soon, I don't think. So there are things that we have to put up with, and we have to say, you know what, I don't like it, and I can swallow this and live with it. Anyway, that was in regards to the section of dissolution.
But in that particular, if I may interrupt there for a second, Mr. Bush, in that particular case, we had a choice because the UK has put that in all of its other overseas territories' constitution. That was a matter for us to choose whether or not we wanted to have acting on advice of or acting in consultation with.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, because I didn't get settled till we got to Lancaster House.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. And I want to say that Dr. Steve has been on target with most of it, and I should sit up front and see. Give me a couple of minutes.
Sure.
I'm calling in this morning.
Yep.
More than a public service public service announcement that I usually do.
Okay, no problem. No, we will.
Things have gone beyond that, and now things are in election mode, and you are discussing elections, and more than that, seems to be putting me in the middle of it. And anyway, Dr. Steve is right, except for one thing that I disagree on. The Constitution doesn't say that there can be a coalition, but it doesn't say it can't be either. And in the Westminster system and the kind of democracy that the Commonwealth and most part, let's call us the Commonwealth, Caribbean, and other Commonwealth countries, not all of them, but most of them that still hang on to the most of the British House of Commons type of democracy. Let's put it that way to make it a long way around. Most of us follow that. If the party don't win, the party, and this is not just independence, this is not just independent countries, this is also countries that are still, as I said, part of the British overseas territories. If a party don't win, they form a coalition to go in. Even if the Constitution, as I said, our Constitution says, speaks about the party, but it does not say that there cannot be a coalition.
But it does say how you go about getting
right.
it.
That's how you go about getting it. Yes.
The mechanism that you use.
Yeah, but it doesn't say that you can't do so beforehand and then go in and tell the governor. So it doesn't say you can't.
It says that you should take the vote in the legislative assembly of all the members.
No, but it says something before that, doesn't it?
Oh, it says this is what it says again. It says where a political party, it says the premier shall be appointed by the governor as follows: where a political party gains a majority of the seats of elected members of the legislative assembly of the parliament, it would be the parliament now, the governor shall appoint as premier the elected member of the assembly, recommended by a majority of the elected members who are members of that party. That's the first way of getting it. The party who wins the majority of the seat, the members of the party must send to the governor and says, who's the leader of that party?
We have a majority.
They have a majority. And then it says, if no political party gains a majority, or if no recommendation is made under subsection, they might still gain a majority, but no recommendation comes because they might not agree which one of them can be the premier. If no political party gains such a majority, or if no recommendation is made under subsection 2, the Speaker shall cause a ballot to be held among the elected members of the Legislative Assembly to determine which elected member commands the support of the majority of such members.
So follow that through now, though, Doc.
Pardon me?
Follow that through. I say follow that through.
Yes.
The Speaker shall cause a ballot to be held.
Yes, right.
And so you got to go into the Assembly. And you got to decide on a speaker.
Yes.
Right? In our situation, who can be that speaker if the premier hadn't garnered enough support to get in there?
Well, what happens we
were going to end up, Doc, the same way we ended up in the election, not knowing and not agreeing because I didn't agree with Ezra Arden. They didn't support me, but yet they wanted me to be their speaker. So I wasn't going to be their speaker. So obviously, they couldn't go down there, and we go down there, you know how a bunch of confusion again. So maybe that section of the Constitution has to be put more clearly. Because there will be coalitions.
Yes, I agree that would be coalitions, definitely.
All
yes.
right, but I didn't call specifically for that. I called to say that in regards to the general elections, OC and Doc, I feel that the premier and the governor has acted in a manner that is the right thing to do for the country.
We agree.
We agree.
No one, and let me just say to those who are saying that we are disenfranchised, I think the Arden say that several times now. No one is disenfranchised from running as a candidate, most of the candidates, if not all of them, some that carry on their mouth, but they're not running as candidates either. But most of them has been declared. Most of them have all been out all over the place from last year, and some for years have since this last election in any event have been out campaigning. And you take one of the newcomers down here, Raoul Nicholson, who from mid last year started a soup kitchen in lockdown, and and that was a good thing. Then he went to last year when school opened in September to back to school. That's a good thing. Back to school means back to school assistant, right? I've been doing that for 40-something years, and others doing all kinds. And then Mr. Nicholson was doing the giveaways in Christmas. So they all knew and were preparing themselves, all kinds of machinations for years. So they had all the time to prepare to run as a candidate when it was announced, and has been doing so. That's my opinion. Now, to hear them crying, I think is hypocritical, as only can come from some of them. The voters list, another point, OC, was on target also. Because the final list update on the 20th of January, my birthday, in fact, was on the 20th of January. So the new date is not disenfranchising anyone from voting.
No, because that official list would have come out on the 1st of April anyway. That's the one that would be used in the election.
And the final list was done. So the registration for the final list had taken place in the usual legal manner. So no one is being disenfranchised there. So let those who wish to criticize do so. We are a free country, but the majority in a democracy is what matters. No matter how bad they want to say with democracy, I think we better be thankful for what we have. But in regards to other matters that you have raised, as being raised and trying to be put on my shoulders, let me just tell you something.
I'm not sure that we've been putting anything on your shoulders.
Not you.
Okay.
Not at this point.
Okay.
You put that on my shoulders, you know. I said you put that on my shoulders, but not at this point. But anyway, I let me just say, I would have surely loved to debate my motion, because I had a motion, you know. And let's just tell you something. I don't sit down in politics and just think that everybody that grin in my face is going to love me. No, I've learned that a long time ago, that is not so. People are too hypocritical and will use you and abuse you. So I wasn't sitting down. I formulated a motion, okay? And I gave notice because I'm speaking. I can't, while I'm speaker, I'm in the chair. I can't move motions, right, on the floor of the House.
Right.
But I can plan ahead. Nothing saying that McKeever Bush or any person who have any sense shouldn't plan ahead. And so I planned ahead. I formulated a motion, with Captain Eugene being my seconder, gave notice that if the House, whenever the House is called to the clerk, or whenever the House is called, I will move my motion. After that, ardent motion of confidence was submitted.
Okay.
But I had given my notice to the clerk. Okay? My intention was this, that if we got to that point, and let me tell you what the motion said, okay?
Okay.
I can give you a copy of that sometime, OC.
Certainly. Look forward to that.
Whereas the leader of the opposition has written to the Premier and also publicly called in the government to have the elected member for West Bay West removed as the Speaker of the Parliament due to the Speaker having an incident in February 2020, which resulted in the Speaker being charged with common assault and disorderly conduct in a public place, and whereas the Speaker has been convicted by the summary court of the same charges, and whereas this Honourable House would also like to hear how the leader of the opposition would take the high moral, because that's what they were dealing with, not legalities at the point. They were dealing with morals and ethics, they claim, principles. Would take how the leader of the opposition would take the high moral and ethical ground in dealing with any member who beats up his wife, ties her up, leaving her locked up naked in the house for 2 days, or any amount of days, or how a member is dealt with who beats up his girlfriend, who is his son's mother, so often that the school teachers at school have to take the son to counseling. And whereas the House would like to hear from the member from North Side how he would take the high moral ground and ethical ground to deal with a member who beats up his wife and blacks her eye to the point that she leaves the family house to rescue and shelter in a friend's house. Be it resolved that this Honourable Parliament expresses its opinion whether the member for West Bay West must resign his position as the Speaker of this Honourable Parliament. And be it therefore resolved that steps be taken to amend all rules in standing orders and the Constitution if found necessary pertaining to the resignation of a member from any position he or she holds by virtue of being a member of this Honourable Parliament, including the Speaker, to make absolutely clear on what grounds and for what reasons must resignations be carried out. Moved by William McKeever Bush, elected member for West Bay, seconded by Captain Eugene E. Banks, elected member for West Bay Central. Now, if I had had a chance to debate that, then we would have been seen where members would have voted, whether government members, all of them, or whether opposition members, all of them. So if after that, now, that didn't happen, right?
Okay, very quickly, because I'm past my commercial break and we have a few more callers queued up.
You give me some time this morning?
Well, I have. You've been talking since for about 12 minutes now.
But you wanted to hear, right?
Huh?
And I think you want to hear, OC. And the truth is that you have been, I've been calling, and I want to say a few things besides that. So give me a few minutes, please.
But I'm past my commercial break. I have to adhere to that. You know that we do with everyone else. I have to adhere to the commercial break. If you want to hang on to the line, please hang on, folks. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Thinking of getting a hybrid but don't know much about them? Vant Motors has lots of great reasons why you should choose a Toyota Corolla Hybrid or CHR Hybrid for your new ride. Hybrid save fuel, run cleaner, reduce CO2 emissions, and even recharge their batteries while being driven, so you don't ever have to worry about plugging them in. Both are super quiet as well as economical and fun to drive. So stop by Vant Motors to check out a new, fuel-efficient, eco-friendly Toyota Corolla Hybrid for only $26,900, or a sporty CHR Hybrid starting from $34,150 while stock lasts. Go Toyota. Go hybrid. Go to Vant Motors on Walkers Road.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, K-Man.
I've got some beautiful clothes. I know just where they go. Puritan Cleaners.
Puritan Cleaners now offering 12% off all ladies and gents wearing apparels. Prepaid on orders $19 and up. Other household items such as bedspreads, drapes, and wedding dresses remain at a standard 10% off prepaid. These discounts are on at all our stores and will end February 20th. Savannah Countryside, Elgin Avenue, 337 Eastern Avenue, drive-through, rain or shine. Telephone 949-7104. Our seamstress is on duty. Puritan Cleaners, you feel good when you look good.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio K-Man.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. We have less than 10 minutes left in the show. Mr. Bush, you still there? Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, you still there, sir?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to give you about three more minutes.
Mr. Bush, I just want... Mr. Bush, I just...
But I want to say this before you... And I'm ready to answer any question.
Okay.
I say that if... Let's come back down to the... So it didn't get to the point where I could move a motion. The House was prorogued.
Mm-hmm.
But I must say... Or not prorogued, dissolved. But I must say that this magic... 7 members are not such a magic number. As our Constitution now sets the quorum of the House at 10 members. So if the House can't meet without 10 members, not 7 members, 10 members, the House cannot meet unless 10 members are present.
Okay.
So in the course of all that, then, democracy, I think, would have taken its course if he could get there, right? Either they would get 13 members to have voted against me or not, because that's what they need, 2/3. That's democracy as we have it in our Constitution. I just want to tell you, I'm no woman beater. And
Mr. Bush, we have to be careful. While parliamentary privileges may exist for you in Parliament, we have to be careful what we say on this radio station, because I don't want to be liable for anything, sir.
Be liable by me saying I'm not a woman beater.
Mr. Bush, can I just ask you a quick question? Mr. Bush?
Go ahead, ask it. Go ahead.
Can I ask you a quick question, Mr. Bush?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, Mr. Bush. My notes here says that Parliament and government are two separate institutions. The government does not resign when Parliament is dissolved. That is, that the government ministers remain in charge of their departments until the new ministers are sworn in. Ministers keep their ministerial titles until after the dissolution. So does that mean, sir, that the Speaker have that? So since there's a new Parliament, there's a new Parliament now. Parliament now is a new institution now that is autonomous. Does the Speaker retain responsibility for the management of the Parliament? And as because you know, like a minister also, do you still keep? Do you retain responsibility for the management of Parliament until the new Speaker is elected?
That's what the law says, Doc, but we haven't got that finalized yet. That's the fact of it. But I listened to you earlier. I think you went on to explain it earlier, and you are absolutely correct. And I'm glad that you raised that and that you put it out there, and it's absolutely clear, and you are absolutely correct what you have said. The matter with the new setup with us, we haven't got that all cleared away yet.
Okay.
But the speaker, like you say, do not retire just because the House resumed, and neither do members, for that instance. Not in Cayman, in other countries too. Members are still expected to service their constituencies. They're still expected to carry out all the duties of a member.
To what point? Up to what point?
Yeah, up to the point that you don't get to the House unless the House is called back.
No, but if the person is not re-elected, when does their membership end if they're not re-elected?
The House, when a new government is sworn in, then your membership
ends.
Because the House of Commons says, the Speaker retains responsibility for the management of the House of Commons as they remain the chair of the House of Commons Commission until a new Speaker is elected. Those are the rules in the House of Commons.
Our Constitution says that the Speaker vacates his office, but it doesn't. The practical and the conventions, as you just read, is not that way. You continue in doing anything that is required of you. Right now, the new parameters, the new setup is not completed yet, so we haven't taken over as such yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
One more question before you go, Mr. Bush. This motion that you were going to submit, as a speaker of the Legislative Assembly, can you submit that yourself, or would you have someone submit it on your behalf? Do the rules allow you to submit it as speaker?
We do not follow anybody's rules established, and I know where things have been done like that. I would not, as I said, submitted it. I could give notice, and the notice is when the House meets. In our case, the House would have met, or the House would be meeting. If they had got to the 7 votes, listen carefully. If they had got to the 7 votes or 10 votes, they would need to call the House, not 7. 10 votes for the House to sit.
Okay.
If they had got there, I would have days known before what was going to happen. I would have said to the deputy, you take the chair. You have to take the chair. I'm going on the floor of the House.
But isn't that I understand that now, and isn't that the problem that we have with our Constitution, where when we allow a speaker to be chosen from within, because it raises this whole conflict and conflict of interest situation almost, isn't it?
You saying something that I've said all my political life, but I added this to it: the speaker needs to be from in or out. Just in case you do need to have the speaker from outside. In many instances, it would be better, but in many instances, a government must do what it's got to do when the people have chosen a government.
Okay.
That's democracy.
Got you. Mr. Bush,
I want to tell you that I'm very appreciative of the explanations given by Dr. Steve.
Okay.
And yourself, of course, the historical aspects.
Okay. I want to thank Mr. Bush for that. I had several WhatsApp messages here. Just one that I want to share because Mr. Bush touched on it as well. And this person said that there are, because elections are being called 6 weeks early, there are persons who intended to declare as candidates, but they had to give their employers 3 months notice.
But that has nothing to do with the election law.
Right, nothing to do with
that's to do with their employer and them and the contract that they signed for their work.
They're unable to do so now.
And I said 6 months is not a long time. 6 months is not a short time for an election. 6 months is it's long enough time.
Yeah.
Especially in a country where you only have 203,000 voters.
Okay. Well, again, we want to thank Mr. Bush, for calling, in on that. Doc, we don't have a whole lot of time left.
We need an hour or so more.
Well, with the House being prorogued or dissolved on the 14th, and we have nomination day on, is it the 1st of March, I believe, somewhere around there?
Yes.
I got to look at that. As far as the schedule and for the record is concerned now, any candidate. We'll have government departments and, heads of departments and stuff like that on now, but all of the politicians now will have to buy commercial time on here. Then they can decide whether or not they want to have callers call in, or if they want to get their platform out there, they will have an opportunity to do that. When they don't do that, then there's more time for me. There will be more time for you and I to be on here as well, Doctor. I want to thank you for that. Closing comments from you, sir.
Very interesting times. I would just like to say that to one of the messages you received, that 6 weeks for an election to 6 weeks to prepare for an election is not short in a time in a country where you only have 24,000 voters. Even in England, 6 weeks is mostly all they get for an election, and so it's great to be back with you. I would like to have a forum, really a constitutional forum that we can go through the constitutional OC and to really have a half a day or something on your radio, or in a district, or anywhere in a hall or someplace where we can go through one day, and like we do here, and go through every provision of the Constitution, and to get at least the younger people to understand it, and to understand what it says and how it's applied and so forth, so we can have a better discussion on the phone, and people will understand it and can be able to participate into the discussion that we're having on the radio.
Yeah. What I will do is I will contact the chair of the Constitutional Commission, Mr. Von Carter, and see whether or not they would support something like that, or would be prepared to join us in a discussion like that. I think that would be really nice, and we need more of those discussions now, because we're going to hear a lot of politics. We're going to hear a lot of meetings and commercials, but it is also important for the people of the Cayman Islands to be properly informed and correctly informed as well. So that's going to be extremely important. Folks, I want to thank you. I want to thank Dr. Steve Macfield. I want to thank all of our callers as well. I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman, and by extension For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, wherever that may be. I also want to remind you that we are our brothers and our sisters' keepers. There is always someone out there who's less fortunate than we are, and I ask you to extend a helping hand to them. If you can't do that, then I suggest you donate to a worthy charity, because we always want to consider those who need, not necessarily those who want, or even those who crave. So I say to you, have a great day. Continue to support your radio station, Radio Cayman. Join Sterling, Dwayne Ebanks at 12:15 for Talk Today. And as usual, we ask the good Lord to bless these three beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury.
Also brought to you by Ropers Enterprises, 122 Industrial Way. Products and services for better public health. Green Turtle. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app, the future of mobile, saving lives today. The Ministry of Commerce, Planning and Infrastructure, and by West Bay Pharmacy, taking care of your health.
Today's biggest news.